Over the past few months, we've brought you many stories of veterans, some of this country's most inspirational human beings. Those who have suffered as a result of their service. Some have lost limbs, sustained horrific physical injuries. Others carry mental scars, forever impacted by the kind of trauma most of us couldn't even imagine. All have survived and continue to fight. But what about those who didn't? Those who lost their battle? I wanted to introduce you to Gwen Cherne. Her husband, Sergeant Peter Jon Cafe, a highly respected member of the 2nd Commander Regiment, took his life in the garage of their family home. 3 children lost their dad that day. And Gwen, welcome so much to the show. You lost your partner. How do you ever recover from that?
I think, well, first of all, thanks for having me, Erin. Community. You know, we have this amazing community that wrapped love and support around us. It was our local community and school parents. It was defence community. But when I really look back at it, we healed because of them through the trauma. And then in the last almost 6 years, I've been dealing with the grief. And I think the thing that has helped me the most in terms of, you know, healing and thriving, to be honest, now I'm finally able to be thriving, is this idea of post-traumatic growth, that, you know, you go through this trauma and then you go and help others so that they can be healed and supported. And you actually grow post the trauma instead of being worse off.
It's been incredible to watch your journey, and we met a few years ago when this was very, very raw, and you are a different person now, which is incredible. Peter served in Afghanistan and in Iraq. How did his service change him as a person? So
for Pete, I think the most that he was impacted was actually Cambodia and looking at the scars of the war in their communities and what he saw firsthand. But with Iraq, you know, Pete had a stroke, and coming back, he's in this really highly successful unit, and his cognition didn't actually heal as quickly. And so he was constantly trying to keep up and hiding the scars. And I think that's really common. Many defense members and veterans who are struggling still hide them because they're afraid that they'll have to leave because of something they love. And for him, that was, you know, that meant at home, he was a different person. He was depressed, he was frustrated, he was struggling. He didn't see a future.
Yeah. You now work as an advocate in this space. What is the government doing to improve the outcomes for our vets, to look after the people who are willing to do things, as I said at the start of the show, that most of us never would?
Look, I think, you know, we had the Prime Minister's Veterans Employment Awards on Thursday night, which was phenomenal. For the first time ever, families weren't an and, Erin. Like, you know what it means to be a defense family. You know the sacrifices that families have. And, you know, it's been changing, but to see the shift in discourse, to see the difference in how people are looking at, talking about, and acknowledging the contributions that families make. We had 2 awards for partners this year, the first time. And you could feel the energy in the room is completely different. I mean, we have a long way to go before we're sitting beside our partners at every single welfare board meeting that happens within defence. But it's starting to shift and move. And I think the Royal Commission, their entire 2nd chapter of their interim report was on families. So, you know, there's a lot of movement, but there's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
Which is why I keep doing this.
No, absolutely, and it is so inspirational. You do so much in this space. I want to ask you, in a slightly lighter way, Prince Harry. You got to meet Prince Harry and climb the Harbour Bridge with him. What was he like? Because I remember talking to you directly after, and you said he was so engaging. He made you feel like you were the only person there.
I mean, he stopped and sat down practically on the railing and just had this 5 or 10 minute conversation with me on the bridge. He talked about his mom and his mental health, and, you know, we shared stories about grief. He was the most genuine person that I had, you know, in that kind of a role, to take the time and energy and talk to me about what it really meant to him, to have veterans' mental health acknowledged, how we change that conversation, how we work on stigma, and then grief, because we all grieve. And, you know, with COVID, I think we've started to understand mental health and grief in a different way. across the globe than we did previously. It's not this hidden thing that only a select few get.
Yeah.
And that was something we talked about for ages. He was beautiful, so.
Oh, that's really lovely to hear. And I've said before, I'm not a big fan of a lot of the things that he tries to push, but his work in this space and with Invictus is second to none. It's incredible. Absolutely. As is yours. Gwen Cherne, thank you so very much for all your help. I really appreciate what you're doing, and thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thanks, Erin.
And of course, if this brings up anything for you at home, you can always call Lifeline as well.